When UEFA announced their new format for the Champions, Europa, and Conference Leagues last year, there was obviously going to be pushback because people are terrified of change and they hate new ideas and they assume UEFA is being greedy. Which they were, but this new format is awesome, and I know I'm in the minority. I've been saying it from the start. I think this model is great. I love this format. I love the group stage, and I think it is creating drama in every match, in every minute of this competition from across the board. I do not understand why people do not like it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to understand what you don't like about it, and it's got to be something better than, oh, it's new, it's not how it used to be. So we're going to talk about that next here on Pints and Punditry at the Pitchside Pub. So sometimes I come to you guys with answers, sometimes I come with solutions to problems, sometimes I come with opinions, and sometimes I just have questions. And today is one of those latter situations because I do not understand the hate for this format. I have been riveted so far. I wish I could watch more of these games. My only real problem is that there are so many games being played at once that I can only watch, really focus on one, maybe have a second one on in the background, so I have to go back and rewatch a lot of this competition. I love this format, and I think it's great, and I've been saying that from the start. So I want to understand today why you don't like it, because the general consensus has been negative around this, not just from the start, but even now that we are 3 matches into it. People are not liking it, and I don't get why, and I have a feeling it has to do with revisionist history and nostalgia and people's inherent dislike of anything new. So we're going to get into all that today, but before we do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me down below so you can follow the channel. Get in that comment section. I do want your thoughts on this. Tell me what it is you don't like about this, but you're going to have to come with something coherent or else I'm just going to point out that you hate change. So get that in that comment section. Let me know what you think. You can also leave comments on Twitter at PitchsidePub and check out the website pitchsidepub.com. So we're 3 matches in. And the table is, as you'd expect, ridiculously congested, right? And that happens in every league after 3 matches because there's only so many variations of how you can divvy up those 9 points. But unlike every domestic league in the world, it's not going to play out to 36, 38, 40 games. That's not possible. This is only an 8-game tournament, so it is going to remain very congested. The final results after 8 games is going to be, there's going to be multiple spot differences in the table over 1 point or over goal differential. And that's part of what I'm finding so riveting about this format is that not just every game matters, every minute of every game matters. And it doesn't matter if you root for a big club and you're blowing out a small club. You have to keep running up that score because goal differential is going to be a huge difference. Look at the table right now. There are 7 teams at 7 points, varying from 3rd place to 9th place. Man City's sitting 3rd, Arsenal's sitting 9th. They both have 7 points, but they have a massive goal differential. Between Manchester City has 9 goal differential, +9, and Arsenal's at +3. So that's a massive difference, and that's why, in watching Manchester City, obviously I'm a City supporter, watching them yesterday playing Sparta Praha, even though that game was in hand, they were going to get their points. That was not dramatic at all. They took a lead after 3 minutes or whatever it was. But they had to run up the score, and the fact that they went in only up 1-0 at halftime almost felt like a loss, or at least like a draw. That was concerning because they do have tougher opponents coming up, and they already had a tough opponent right out of the gate. And so when they play the lesser clubs in this tournament, you really need to drive home a result and get a big score if you want to be in that top 8. So every minute of this matters. Every second of this competition matters because it's not just enough sometimes to win 1-0. If you are a big club, a 1-0 victory over a small club feels a bit like a loss, or at least like a draw. It feels like a missed opportunity to move up the table here. And if Arsenal had won 3-0 instead of 1-0, they would be tied for possibly somewhere between 4th and 7th place. They have 3 goals for them, so that would give them 5 goals. So they would be in 7th or 8th, tied with Inter. So you have every goal matters so much. Instead, they are now, if it ended today, they'd be in the groups in the play-in stage and not get one of the top 8 buys. So this all matters so much. In addition, we are getting really good matchups every single week. We got some duds because there are probably a few too many teams in this tournament, and that's the greed I referenced from UEFA. They made this move to create more games in the group stage. Now there's 8 instead of 6, and they added a few teams, and that was unnecessary. By no means am I defending UEFA, who is in general a greedy organization, as are all of these footballing bodies. They added more games to the schedules. That is the last thing any of these players need. So I'm not saying what they did was right, but in terms of the enjoyment, the fan enjoyment of this format, it is fantastic. And yeah, you get some dud matchups like City versus Sparta Praha, but we also got Barcelona Bayern yesterday. We had a close game with Liverpool and RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig is falling flat on their face in this tournament. They have not had any good showings yet 3 games in, and they are at risk of being knocked out if they don't get a result somewhere. Leverkusen versus Brest to a 1-1 draw. That was a fantastic game. We're getting these really good matchups every single week. The day before, we had Real Madrid Borussia Dortmund, which turned out to not be a very good game, but that was a rematch of the final. We're getting some really good matchups. So I'm failing to understand what it is about this format that people are not enjoying. Now, the argument has been made that having more games to attend makes it tougher for the fans, the supporters who are trying to go to these games, and they have an obligation to go to a certain amount of games if they want to keep their season tickets, and I will totally grant you that. But I would argue that is an adjustment that needs to be made on the club side, and that is not UEFA's problem. That is not a criticism of this format so much as it is of the minimum requirements for game attendance that these clubs have in place, and that the more games they have, particularly games that are going to be expensive, or maybe on a weeknight and harder to get to, or harder to bring kids to, those are adjustments that the clubs need to make, and they're not going to make them. So I understand why that is upsetting to fans trying to attend, but that is on the clubs to make those adjustments and make that more feasible for the fans. I would not put the blame there on UEFA. It is UEFA's job to create an entertaining and feasible tournament that leads to an outcome where, more often than not, the best team wins. And that's what they've done here. I think this has this group format. Yes, there was some luck to your draw, but it is considerably less influential luck than the old group stages were. Certain clubs have really tough draws. Milan had a really tough draw out of the gate, and they still have Real Madrid to go, but they're also going to be okay because they've got some easy games coming up, and they're going to get their points, and they're at least going to get into that playoff stage. But I think it took a lot of the luck out of getting stuck in a group of death versus getting stuck in getting the benefit of being in a very easy group. I just think all around this is such a better format. So other than having the increased obligation to have to attend more games, which I am sympathetic to because I don't love that system, but I also put the blame on the clubs there, not UEFA. Outside of that, what is it you don't like about this format? Because I'm failing to understand it. Is it the lack of home and away? Because okay, that was sort of nice, but we're still getting 8 games. 4 of them are home, 4 of them are away. No, you're not playing the same team twice, but that became a bit redundant at times, where you'd play the same team, twice, one home, one. Okay, I'd rather see more matchups. I'd rather see 8 different opponents. If I'm being honest with you, I like that a lot better. The away goals thing went away a few years ago, so that wasn't even still an option. I don't get it. I don't get what people don't like. There was this outrage of confusion when this was first announced, which was so manufactured because this is not complicated at all in any way. And I made a video explaining that as well. And particularly here in the States, most of our pundits, who are generally terrible, said, "Oh, this is so confusing. Nobody can figure out what's going on." I've heard English announcers say the same thing. You're all pathetic. If you can't figure this out, you shouldn't be doing punditry. This is not complicated. We're watching 8 games. Whoever has the most points gets to move on. This is not tough. So I'm loving this format, and I don't understand what it is that people aren't liking. So that's what I want to hear from you. Get down in that comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Be respectful about it. Make some intelligent comments. Give me something more than it's just different and I don't like change. But I would like to hear it because people generally aren't enjoying this. The overall response has been negative. And for it to be that overwhelming without really good reasons that resonate with me is confusing me. So get down in that comment section. Let me know what you think. You can also leave comments on Twitter at PitchsidePub. While you're at it, make sure you hit that subscribe button for me down below so you can follow the channel and check out our website, pitchsidepub.com. Thanks as always for joining us here on Pints and Punditry at the Pitchside Pub.